Hi everyone, welcome to Warhammer Workshop. Today is the big day. It's the big one. It's the thing that a lot of people have been waiting for a very long time, and for which I have in the past shown no excitement for whatsoever. We're looking at the Horus Heresy box set. I have a fraught history with Horus Heresy, in the sense that while everybody around me was very excited about it, I could more or less care. Not because it's not great and the models aren't cool. Seeing all the Primarchs can't come out, that was great, that was awesome. I even bought a Mortarion from the Horus Heresy when I was at Forge World a decade ago. But the game itself being like a historical recreation of past wars and being mostly Space Marines, which is not an army that's ever excited me. I have like this black dress syndrome thing, where I like to play all the things that other people don't play that much. So if something is very popular like Space Marine, I kind of steer away from it because I'm that kind of edgy nerd, I guess. But there's something about Horus Heresy this time around, even though I made some very dire predictions that, how is this going to sell? Everybody that wants Horus Heresy has Horus Heresy. They've already spent thousands of dollars on their resin figurines. Why would they want to buy another 40 plastic Space Marines? And there has been plastic Horus Heresy Space Marines in the past. I mean, I'm sure they've sold well, but this is a whole new thing. This is a whole new, much larger release. So I was wondering, like, who is this for? It turns out it's for me, and it's for them. It's for everyone. The people who are excited about Space Marines, I forgot that they will buy 12 Primaris Lieutenant and be very happy to get them. Like, they'll make jokes about, oh, a Nurse Primaris Lieutenant, but they'll still get it, and they'll still gladly get it. Space Marine Codex is the single codex with the most pages, the most datasheet entries, and people still lap it up, and they'll want to get more models. So, of course, even if they have 100 resin Space Marines, they'll get 40 plastic more. But it's also, for me, I've never been excited about Horus Heresy, and right now, like, I'm talking to you, and I'm feeling, well, I better shut up, because I have this really cool box to open. And the more I talk, the less I'm playing with the plastics. Am I a Horus Heresy player now? Anyway, so let's have a look at this beautiful bastard. Here it is, Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness. Now, we've been lied to. We've been told that this was the thickest box that Games Workshop had put out in a long time, but just recently, Games Workshop put out Ash Waste, and if you look closely, you'll notice Ash Waste is still a bigger box. That does not mean Horus Heresy Age of Darkness doesn't come with an absolute massive amount of figs, because they're about as heavy from my absolutely non-scientific judgment. Anyways, that being said, let's pull out the knife. And let's open this sucker up, shall we? So, as is traditional, a bit of glare, plastic wrap, and yeah, I'll have to deal with it. But let's have a look. We've all seen the content. I mean, we've gone through the Warhammer preview. We've been seeing these for weeks on end now pop up, and every fig's been detailed and described. But I'm still very eager to see what we're going to get. This is 54 figures, 54 minis. All right, it's a little bit less glare now that we've gotten rid of the plastic. But 54 miniatures, 2 of them being rather massive. I mean, one of them is a genuine Land Raider sized tank, and the other one being Contemptor Dreadnought, which I will admit, no one will ever make me like. I do not like the design of the Contemptor Dreadnought. It does not look like a sarcophagus. It doesn't look like this walking mausoleum that the traditional Dreadnoughts look like, and I think that's unfortunate. I'm half wondering if they put these back in as a joke. There's something tells me that going through this box is going to confirm that this is not a box for beginners. You can already see it from the sea of plastic and detailed pieces everywhere that this is not for your beginner player. But these are definitely beginners measuring tools. So I feel like these are in for nostalgia's sake, and I'm here for it. I'm down for it. Templates, classic. This is I started with templates, although they were a bright Necron green back then. These are orange, much like the Necromunda templates. I don't know how I feel about going back to templates. For Necromunda, it feels fine because there's so few figs, but I mean, just this starter box comes with 54, 40 of them being infantry Space Marines. So this is gonna be interesting to see a flamer go through that. I hate to admit, but this is gonna be a bit boring. It's exciting to see the plastic. It's exciting to see the mass of models that we get. And I love to see the detail. I do like the backs of these guys, and the old style weapons are kind of cool. The one thing, I'm assuming these are Terminator Sprues, judging from the sheer amount of power fists and the legs and the type of weapons we're seeing. So you get 10 Terminators in this box, which is kind of insane. So I'm assuming each of these bundles of sprues makes 5 Terminators. Yeah, you can see it from the number of upper torsos that you get from here. Probably twice, they're exactly twice the same thing, I'm assuming, judging from it. Maybe not. No, these are the same. These are the same. Yeah, you get the same options, so, which is perfect. Like, this is a good format if you're gonna split your box. I'm not splitting mine. These look, I don't know what these are. You get 2 of them. They just look like options. This is the kind of stuff that we're gonna get more details once we get into the book and the building. But look at how small. Like, I'm used to seeing things like Power Sword and some of these details be a lot bulkier. I'm assuming this is for Space Marines or the character, not for the Dreadnought, just judging on the size. But this Power Sword is a lot more detailed, has a lot more finesse than what I'm used to seeing, even in plastics. So that's interesting. I'm curious about. You get 4 of these things. I'm assuming they're character sprues too, or upgrade sprues for your various units. Definitely vehicles. Just judging by the capes on these guys, I think we've found the characters. This massive axe in particular. See, again, like, this sword is huge, but it has more finesse than what we're used to seeing. This is going to be great to paint with OSLs. Very looking forward to that. So we've seen 2 characters. I love how they've done a perfect mix here. If you look carefully, I hope this, yeah. So you've got a bit of cut out outlined details if you don't want to do your own freehand, but there's plenty of room left for you to add more details and just go wild. And there's the same thing on both capes. And because, and tactical rocks, of course, and because of just the sheer size of them, anybody that's really ambitious can have a lot of fun with this. I'm looking forward to. Maybe that's what I'm starting with. My thought was I'm definitely going to paint something from this box to show at the end of this video. Now, at this point in the unboxing, I thought I was going to be doing the Contemptor just to get it out of the way and see if I can challenge myself to make a Contemptor that I don't feel contempt for. But those 2 characters do look nice and are very cool. And now I think we're just getting into piles and piles of relatively the same sprue over and over again for these Space Marines. The little beakies. I love the chain bayonets. That is an amazing detail that they're adding in there. And from the looks of it, every frame seems to have 4 Space Marines or 5 Space Marines. 5 Space Marines. So since we're getting 40, that's going to be 8 of these frames. Let's count them down. That's 4 right there. And another 4 right here. That's 40 Space Marines. And you get, oh, this is an interesting little detail, frustrating detail. And this is another thing, this kind of confirms my opinion that this is not your entry-level box set. Notice how you've got, here you've got your standard shoulder pads where you get to add your decals, your water slides and all that. And then you have these monstrosities, which I already hate, and I'm a little mad at Games Workshop because these are half shoulder pads that you need to put together. And I don't know why I did it this way, although I do have a theory. So one of the things I really hate about Games Workshop sometimes is that they'll create pieces that have, you see those little ball nubbins things, those giant rivets. They'll have a mold line go straight through it, which would probably be the case if they were to mold it normally. And that's pain in the butt to take care of. But being built this way, you wouldn't have to do that. You barely would have to remove any mold lines to assemble these. So, yeah, I'm angry at it, but there's a good chance I'm actually going to be happy with it once I actually put it together. Now we get into the really fun bits, the vehicle parts. I'm going to assume by the last cannons that this is a sprue for the large vehicle, the Spartan, I believe it's called. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, so I'm going to butcher a few of these things. This is far from being your standard Land Raider type frame, though. Normally, Land Raiders, if you've built one, every side panel is built of 2 large pieces that you assemble and then put the tracks around. Basically, these would be the same piece, and then you'd have something that goes on top of it, and between the 2, you'd be putting down the tracks. These seem to be a lot more complex in their assembly. They do come with some Legion-specific iconography, which I'm not super hot on because I'm not going to be doing, I'm planning on doing Death Guard, so I would have loved to see maybe a sprue that gives you one of each of the 13 legions. Anyways, so let's see, this would be like the exterior part that you would get, that you would assemble on top, but even those are truncated compared to the classic Land Raider. These are much more simple looking threads. Usually these will have like an Imperial symbol and a lot more detail. This is going to be a lot simpler to put together. I'm actually thankful for the lack of detail on these. And then more weapons. Actually, I'm wondering if this isn't a sprue from the Contemptor, judging from the pieces. Yeah, these are shoulder pads from the Contemptor. These look like leg or arm pieces. So this is a completely different piece. And this would be the rest of the Contemptor. They've really chopped this into a lot more pieces than what we're used to. So there is one thing about this Contemptor that I'm kind of happy with, is that it has a back-mounted missile launcher, which it's a small detail. It still looks like a bulky robot instead of a walking mausoleum, as I like my dreadnoughts to be. But in this case, it gives it, I don't know, it makes it a little bit more menacing than your standard plain Contemptor Dreadnought. Still gonna have to find a way to make it look cooler, but I'm sure I can figure it out. But remember when the first plastic Contemptors came out, these were easy to assemble, snap fit, like 5-part models. Very, very simple, very simplistic. And this has been chopped up into just dozens of pieces on 2 frames. There you have the rest of the Spartan. It looks a lot more complex than not complex, but it's got like these details, these kind of like pseudo religious architecture, very like something that looks a bit like a cathedral that you see in some of the older Imperial machineries. And it's not overdone like a sister battle tank, but it's just there enough to remind you that this is classic old style Warhammer, like 30K, not 40K. And finally, we have just an entire frame of these threads. This is going to be a lot of fun to assemble. And right underneath the protective cardboard, you have a... I'm disappointed. Like usually they tend to put some cool artwork on these things, and here is just very much a, a collection of various models that you can get. Oh boy, you can see like I was reaching my fingers down to go grab it. Halfway down, I thought I had the entire book, but it goes a lot deeper, which makes sense. I mean, this is a core book. This is the whole thing. Let's have a look inside, because I have a feeling that for a lot of people, especially you guys that have been playing Horus Heresy for a while, this is the important thing. This is like the updated rules, and what this thing actually contains is probably more important to you than the models, although I'm sure the models are very exciting also. It's bulky. This is going to be fun to hold on to. Alright, so let's just take care of this real quickly. Promoting some Black Library books. I can't blame them. I have not read as many of these books as I should have, but this newborn fire of excitement for Horus Heresy definitely is motivating me to pick up a few from my bookshelf. This is a reference sheet, which is shocking, because instead of being your single reference sheet, it is... Well, you get two of them, but it is an entire 4-page monstrosity. So I'm assuming these rules are not going to be your 9th edition digestible, super easy to deal with rules. And underneath here, you have your building instructions. These are not... We've gotten used to, especially with Kill Team, with instructions in color on these very coated paper with a lot of quality. And I'm not saying the quality is not there for this, but I guess they had to cut costs somewhere. It also feels like I expected something much thicker. I'm a little disappointed that the transfer sheets, I know that they couldn't give us transfer sheets for all the legions in the box. I hope they come out with the other transfer sheets as soon as possible. This has just what they expect you to build that's painted on the cover of the box, which is fine, but I don't think everyone is going to be painting it the way that the box is. People are going to want to do their own legion, and they're going to want the transfers that go with them. Now, we know that they are going to have these every legion-specific heads and shoulder pads, but those I don't know at the time of this recording when they're going to come out, and according to the article, I'm understanding that they will not be coming out all at the same time, all upon release. We've talked about it enough. Let's have a look at this book. As always, like very high quality printing. It's got some spot varnish, hardcover. It's only got one page holder, which is a little bit disappointing. I always want more. Like we're going to be referencing a lot of. Ooh, that's a lot of crack. We're going to be referencing these rules a lot, and judging from the reference sheet, this is going to be. This looks like it's going to be rules heavy. So being able to flip through and find the rules you need quickly, having a couple more of these page holders wouldn't go unappreciated. So we get a huge portion of fluff apparently, which since we already get kind of a primer for the Imperium in the core 40K book, anybody that's familiar with 40K, this is obviously going to be going into so much more detail about the Horus Heresy and probably the pre-Heresy era, and I'm kind of stoked about that. I'm not as learned about the Space Marines as I probably should be. It's one of the reasons why I want to pick up more Black Library books. But in a way, this is kind of like the lore circling back on itself, and having, oh my god, wait. Sorry, I'm gonna finish that thought in a second, but first of all, like this is a lot more detail about Space Marines in general, but also for the ignorant, such as myself, having a guide that basically takes you through all the marks of armor. That is very cool. Because to be fair, like Space Marine armor to me, like there's beaky, not beaky, and those that look kind of old. So having a guide that actually shows me all the different types of armor so I can understand the differences, it's gonna make it a lot easier for me to communicate and not like be too much of an ignorant dork when I go play with other Horus Heresy players. You're the ones that are going to tell me, well, this leg is supposed to have 6 rivets and you've only got 5. That being said, I don't know how much I'm going to learn all of that by heart, but I'll give it the old college try. Obviously, you've got sections for all of the various legions, except the 2 missing ones, which these are my bad boys. I'm going to be painting. Looking forward to it. And I'm assuming at some point we get to a section for rules, but no, we're still getting more fluff information. This is massive. This is a lot more information about the history of the Imperium than I think I've ever had in front of me. And you've even got like information about towns of the Emperor, all your other sub-factions, probably the Admex, Titanicus Legion, all of that. This is great. This is like 40k books, core books have been coming out over and over since 3rd edition. I keep picking them up and I keep kind of reading diagonally through all the fluff because I know it already. Whatever's been added, I've already absorbed and I don't need to reread it. But this is hundreds of pages of material that while I'm vaguely familiar with, I never went in depth. So I am very much looking forward to becoming even more of a 40k nerd and learning my Adeptus Astartes lore. And so then you have your core rules, I have a feeling this is going to be very reminiscent of 6th edition. I'm not familiar enough with what kind of mutations and iterations have happened. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that's a lot of people haven't read yet. So there's probably some new things. Vehicle facings. I'm so stoked for this. I'm not a nostalgic person in general, but seeing some of this old stuff really stirs something in me. Vehicle facings. I'm assuming they also have kind of an armor chart for vehicles. And we do get some data sheets, but these are data sheets for bunkers and things. Special rules is something that I'm going to be very curious about. These are probably rules specific to certain weapons, probably the equivalent of universal special rules that we've had in the past. The only thing that this doesn't seem to have so far is data sheets, or the Horus Heresy equivalent of data sheets for the armies contained within. So I'm wondering if deeper in this box I'm going to find some stats so that people can actually throw down for a game. We got some missions here. One of the things I am definitely going to want to have a look at is I saw an alignment chart and I lost it, and I'm going to have to find it again because we need to move on. There's your content for the box. All right, so massive book. A lot more interesting than I thought it would be. I mean, this is a treasure trove of interesting surprises for me. I don't see any rules for those specific legions. I may just not be paying attention. So we get some dice. I have a ton of those. Bases for everyone. And the aforementioned and reviled decal sheets. These never show up very well on camera, but it's not so bad. It's not so bad. And I'm going to be able to pull out my scatter dice from. You can't see it very well. This is unfortunate. Well, if you know old style Warhammer, you know what those scatter dice are for. All right, guys. So here we are. This is where you will find the rules for the models that come with the box. They're in the building instructions. So this is very much a placeholder for the time being. You're not going to need these for very long, as I'm assuming the 2 boxes for the traitors and the loyalists are coming out. If not immediately after, very soon after the Age of Darkness box, but you get all to have all your you've got your pointage, you've got your stats, you've got everything you need to build whatever army you're building and get it on tabletop and play with it. So there you have it, everyone. Age of Darkness core box, Age of Darkness core book, all the models. We've seen it all. We're ready. If you're a Horus Heresy player, I bet you're losing your mind. If you're not, I bet you're very curious, much like I am. I'll talk to you guys later.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping us a like and subscribing. Thanks for watching. Materials shown in this video are provided fully or in part by Games Workshop for promotional purposes.
Man, I love Terminator models more than can be healthy.